I've been getting some questions from you over on my Instagram page asking if I can do a video on photography editing. So I've picked a photo from one of the more popular videos on the channel. It was an autumn walk through the woods in Grizedale. This isn't the shot I wanted, but I quite like this because on that side, like, it's really dark down here, then it's light here. So there's a track leading down through it. So I've just framed that up. What we're going to do is show, like, from start to finish how I'd edit it. But to take the picture, I used a 5D Mark III with the 24-70. It had the polarizer on at the time because it was quite a rainy day, and the polarizer just took some of that glare off the trees and it brought out some of the colours. And settings wise, I was at ISO 50, f3.5, and it was a 2-second shutter speed. We're at 50mm as well. The other setting that I used, by the looks of it, had the white balance set to cloudy. And looking at the picture now, I don't really like the colour that we've got straight out of the camera. It looks a bit oversaturated. So when I first pull up the pictures, I tend to I sort of know straight away what I want to do to the picture, so I'd assess it like that. The other thing that I don't really like is this dark side here. So I think what I want to do with this is change that colour first, bring out some of the shadows in that area on that right hand side, and then there shouldn't be too much more to do to it. So what I tend to do for the white balance is I click on this eyedropper here, or you can press the W key and that'll bring it up. And I also click on the tab on the left hand side, so you get the preview on the left hand side and you get like a glimpse of how it's going to come out. So I'm going to click on some of the shadow area in the top left hand side, I think, and that's taken away some of the colour. I actually think that's taking it away too far. So I'm going to grab the temp and drag it a bit to the right, about 4,500. It's a subtle difference, but you can see it in the shadows. The shadows are darker and the grasses are a more natural colour, in my opinion. So I think that's a good start. And then what I tend to do is I just work down the right hand side. And the good thing about using something like Lightroom is you have options, so you don't have to stick with what you first choose. You can slide it to the left and the right, and if you don't like it, just double tap it and you're back to where you started. We'll start with the contrast. So if we drag it all the way to the left, I think the trees on the right hand side look better, but I don't like these ones on the left hand side. And if we drag it all the way to the right, the contrast is a bit nicer on the trees on the left, but it ruins the ones on the right hand side. So I think I'm going to stick that about 10. Yeah, it's making those shadows a little bit sharper, and we'll worry about this right hand side a little bit later and drag that out with a ND grad, like a fake one. And then if we look at the highlights, we'll do the same thing, drag it left to right. I quite like how when it's dragged all the way to the right, it's adding a bit of, like, it's dragging your eye to this area here. All the way is too much, but if we had a subtle little glow, maybe about 20, and I think that works better. And then we'll move on to the shadows, and it's mainly going to affect that area under the trees on the left hand side and this patch on the right. We're just going to focus on this area for now though. So I think I do want to drag it up a little bit. Not too much though. I want it so you can see these trunks, but not too much detail. We'll keep that one about 20 as well. And then with the whites, if you hold down the Alt button and drag it left to right, you'll see when the highlights are blown out, it will show up as a white. It'd be like, you can see it on the back. It's like white and yellow dots. So that you want to try and avoid that. So if you hold it down and drag it until there's a few. The blown out bits are in the sky up here, so that doesn't really matter that much. And I'm going to drag that one to about 15. And then with the blacks, it'll add a bit of contrast. But saying that, I think I like that a little bit to the right as well. No, actually, if you look at these leaves on the top left, I think having it slightly in the minuses helps there. So we'll do minus 15 there. So I like the left 3/4. So what I'm going to do now is grab this ND grad, and for the example I'm going to stick it on +4. Then if we hold shift and drag it right to left, we'll get an ND grad that is affecting the right hand side of the screen. And I want it to start about 3/4 in. And we'll do this a bit more subtle as well. Plus 0.9, and we'll drag up the shadows a little. 44. We'll drop down the exposure slightly. And then I might add another one just on that last tenth of the image. About there. Then that just like balances it out a bit. And then if we move on to the clarity, I generally don't go above 12. I don't really have any reason for that. That's just always been my thing. I think the reason is if you go too far, it looks pretty horrible. It's like really in your face and just not nice. And if you go all the way to the left, it's horrible again. So yeah, we'll go to about 12 for that one. I think it looks a little bit dark. Maybe if we bring these blacks up to +10. I like to look at it from a distance and see where my eye goes to. I'm not sure if these trees in the top left are a little bit bright. We'll drop this down slightly. 6. We'll have one last play with this white balance. Yeah, I think that's it now. But then this grass looks kind of weird. No. It looks like I've come to a slightly more contrasty outcome this time. But my setup today is slightly different to usual. I wouldn't normally have all these big lights. I like to have it quite dark, so I've got these blackout curtains, and I just find it gets you like a more consistent result. So what I'd probably do now is I'd leave this for a few hours, go away, come back to it with some fresh eyes, maybe do that over the next few days, and then once I'm like happy with it, I'd leave it there. But I think that looks pretty close to how I'd want it. I think my editing style is quite minimal. I don't really go above 30 or 40 most of the time. We did go a little bit more excessive when we did them grad filters. We've added about a stop of light on that right hand side and 60 plus with the shadows. Most of the time I found that less is more, so I tend to just like change things in little increments like that. But I hope you found this video helpful. Probably going to be doing more of them. This is a bit of a trial run because I've been having trouble trying to find a screen recorder. But if there's been any photos in the videos that you'd like to see edited, comment down below and I'll try and cover them as well. I want to do some start to finish ones as well, because I think getting it right, well, as right as possible in the camera means that you have to spend less time on the computer. But yeah, we'll have a bit of an experiment with this. I hope you liked the video. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you did. And if you want to help support the channel, I have a range of prints and greetings cards like this over on adamkappa.co.uk. I'll put a link to that down in the description below, and I'll see you next time.